Hello, this is Christy from Graphicious. In today's Camtasia video, I'm going to show you how to create a jumping text with motion blur, customization, repeatable animation, and we're going to top it off by making everything one single customizable asset so that you can use it in every word, any word you like to do. And the cool thing is, this is all going to use basically Camtasia features that, we don't have to import any assets, we don't have to bring in any media. All of this is going to work inside of Camtasia, and it's going to simulate physics. So we're going to jump up and down. So that's going to be one trick to how to make the letters realistically jump up and down, not just move up and down in a straight line with a single speed. So we're going to learn a lot. So this is not just for the sake of this jumping text animation. This is going to be a tutorial to teach you a few techniques in Camtasia. Some of them you may not have seen before, and let's dive in and see how it works. So this is the animation we will be creating. If you look here, I've got these jumping letters. They are all repeating, they're jumping. You can make this as long as you like. You can use it for titles or some kiddie friendly programs or whatever. So we're going to learn how to build this, and it's all completely customizable. So let's start. I'm going to create a new project. By the way, I'm using Camtasia 2021. If you haven't upgraded, there's a link in the description to upgrade to Camtasia 2021 or to buy it for the first time. And some of the features that I'm showing in this tutorial only work in Camtasia 2021. For previous versions, you can probably use some of these things, but it's not going to be as elegant at the end. And certainly Camtasia 2020 and previous versions don't have motion blur. They don't have customizable properties that you can create yourself, and some other things that we are going to use right here. So that being said, Camtasia 2021, let's start. I'm going to start very simple. Just make sure that your project is configured, project settings, and I'm using HD with 30 frames per second. If you want to make it more smooth, you can use 60 frames. That is up to you. I'm going to leave it at 30. The background color doesn't matter at this moment. So the first step is we're going to make one jumping letter. You may have seen in my example that every letter jumps individually. So obviously, we have the word happy. So that's going to be 5 letters, so we need to animate each one individually. The good news is when we animate one, then we can duplicate that easily, and we don't have to do a lot of changes to make another letter that jumps even out of phase with the first one. So let's start with the first letter. I'm just going to use an annotation and just drag a simple text annotation call out to the canvas here and double click on it, and let's make the first letter H. I'm just typing the first letter H. I'm going to use the maximum size here, so I'm just going to click on it and make it really large like this. We can make it bold so that it's a bit more consistent, and let's make the annotation more narrow. Don't go too narrow though, because that's going to reduce the size of your letter. So I'm just going to leave it like this. There you have it. So that's my letter. Okay, so how can I make this jump up and down? Normally, you would use animations, and that's what we will use. But let me give you an example. If I go in here, so let's suppose that I want to have it jump up in like 4 seconds, maybe 2 seconds actually, or 2.5. I don't know. I'm not, it doesn't really matter. 3 seconds. Here we go. So it's going to jump up and down. So the thing is, I said 3 seconds here, but I'm going to actually lose a few because you're going to see why. When you have an annotation in Camtasia with an animation on it, or any animation really, by default, Camtasia creates something called easing on your animation. So let me just show you what that means. I'm going to place the letter at the top there, and I'm going to go to Animations and drag a custom animation to my letter. And let me make it long. And let's move it all the way down here. You can use the arrow keys to move it down in a straight line, and let's see what happens. So you notice my letter moves down. You may also have noticed that it's actually speeding up in the middle of the animation and then slows down. So the ends of the animation, the start and the end, are actually slower. Watch it again. right? So it slows down as it gets to the end and it accelerates when it starts. For this reason, this is a kind of an attempt from Camtasia to simulate a little bit of natural movement and not have everything move in a straight line. If you right click on your animation, you can change the easing, enable easing, and make it linear. That means it's going to move in a straight line and at a constant speed. Watch this. Right? Notice there is no acceleration. If I duplicate this object just to illustrate this, I don't want to make this video longer than it should be, but I just want to illustrate the fact that if you have two objects at the same objects, I'm going to ungroup this because I needed to move it. So one of them is going to have linear easing and the other one is going to have exponential in and out. This is the default, by the way. So let's see, both objects now move the same distance and same location, right? But watch this, one of them actually speeds up and then the other one catches up with it. So the movement is kind of wobbly because the first one actually speeds up and then slows down. They all end up at the same point at the same time, but one of them moves differently. So we will use this to our advantage to generate this physics jumping up and down. So the way the jumping up and down is, imagine this letter is a ball. So the ball actually moves, jumps from the top, and then when it hits the floor, it just bounces up faster. So it actually speeds up, hits the floor, and then jumps very fast back up. And then that's what we want to simulate. But we can't because Camtasia does not have easing customizable at any of the ends. You're either doing exponential in and out, which is going to accelerate in the middle of the animation and then slow down at the end, or you have linear. You cannot change what happens only on one end of the animation. That's why we have to do this using a trick that I'm going to show you right now. So again, I want to make this object bounce. Okay, so I'm going to just use another annotation. I'm going to go to the lines, arrows and lines here and drag a line to my canvas. This is just, so that we can have a kind of like a floor, if you want. The letter's going to, just to help us see where might we have the floor, where we want to stop the bounce movement and move back up. So for that reason, okay, let me just move this maybe up, just down here a bit, 1/3 down. Okay, so this is my floor, right? So my object is going to actually jump up and down. Now, right now it just goes below, right? So that's not good, but it needs to stop here and then go back up to the same location, right? So one thing we need to do is, I'm going to make this actually longer. So let's go about 3.5 seconds, 4 seconds. Okay, so my animation actually goes here and here. Okay, do you know what? I'm going to delete this animation because the basis of my animation is that the letter is going to loop. So it's going to start at the top, hit the floor, and then go back to the top in the same location. That is the basis of our animation and the basis for making this repeatable. So the letter jumps up and down multiple times, which means we need to make it stop at the same point every time, right? So I'm going to go and add another custom animation now to the letter, stretch it for the whole duration of the letter like so. Just go to the very ends. And you notice now it's not moving. There is an animation there, but it's not moving because I haven't moved my object, right? The position is the same. So what I want to do is I want to go to the middle. So let's say to second 2. So that's exactly the middle. It's 4 seconds long. Exactly in the middle, I want to take my object and move it, shift and down arrow all the way underneath the floor. The reason for that is, you remember I showed at the beginning that the animation accelerates in the middle and then slows down at the end. Well, what we want to do is we want to move the object using the easing all the way down and then back up to the top position. We want to right click on both animations and make sure it's exponential in and out, both of them, exponential in and out. So let's see what happens so far. Click on this, slows down, speeds up, slows down again. Okay, but What we want is, we actually don't care about having this object under the floor, right? So we want to stop the object right here. Maybe one frame in the front, one in the back, doesn't matter where. So I'm just gonna move the floor up a little bit, doesn't matter. So this is the point where our object would hit the floor, right? In the middle of the animation. You notice it's exactly halfway, or almost kind of halfway through the animation, right? So we want to select now from this point and move forward, and notice the animation keeps moving with my selection, and move it past the second animation start and back up again here where it again meets the floor, right? So I have selected the portion of the animation I do not care about. If I play this, it's going to play inside of my selection. You notice this part of the animation I don't want. So what I want to do is, I've made my selection and Control X to cut it out. Or you can use the scissors icon right here, cut. There we have it. I'm going to delete this part of the floor now and make it one single clip, right? So this floor is just here for decoration. I'm going to actually make it at the bottom there. So let's see now if my object actually properly bounces up. So I'm going to explain why this works. Bam. Okay, so what happens here is now the object speeds up, hits the floor, and then immediately starts going back up at a high speed and slows down at the end. What happened here is this. We have cut the clip for the portion that it goes under the floor. So this means that this is one of the advantages of Camtasia, recording the position of the object at the clip. And it actually continues the clip inside, but we don't see it because I've clipped the clip, right? I've clipped the animation. So the object just stops and goes again, starts again in the other animation direction. So this is the basis, because we cannot make an easing that only works on one end. We have to cut the clip in the middle where the easing starts accelerating again, and again on the back end where it slows down again. This is a bit confusing maybe, but watch what happens here. This object is now bouncing. If I go up and down, it's just bouncing on the floor naturally. So it simulates natural, boom, So this is exactly one letter. So you don't have to do this actually many times. We've done it once, and now we're going to replicate this. So we want, obviously, I said the letter to bounce multiple times, right? So I'm just going to select both of these clips and copy, Control C, and now paste it a few times, right? So this is lasting now 1.5 seconds. So you remember I said we did say 3 or 4 seconds, but because we had to delete part of the animation on both clips, we end up with much shorter animation. So you need to take this into account when you plan ahead, how fast you want your letters to bounce, I guess. So I'm going to just paste this a few times here. Just every time move the cursor to the end and just paste both of them one after the other, like so. So you notice I have now about 16 or whatever, 12 clips here doing the same thing over and over. So if I play this now, this is my letter just bouncing up and down. It may be a bit slow actually, so I don't know. If you want to make it faster, that is up to you. Just make it shorter before you start cutting, because after that it becomes very hard to modify. So we have one letter bouncing now up and down. How can we customize this so that we can do more letters, right? So this is very easy. Just select all of them, make a group, Control G, right? So now all of my animations are inside of one group. I can scale it, I can change whatever, see, look, the group is there. You can see the outline of the group, and the letter just bounces up and down like so. So this is the letter H, right? So one thing before we move, so this is trick number 2 or 3. I don't know how many tricks I've shown you so far, but one trick is this. Now in Camtasia 2021, you have the ability to create customizable fields and properties with the quick properties. So I have selected now my group, and this only applies if you have a group. So if you have an annotation inside of a group, you now have, look at this on the top right here, quick properties. So my group is selected, click on quick properties, and you can see the letter H appearing here many times. The reason it's appearing many times is because I've made loads of copies of the same one inside of the group, because I'm repeating my animation. What you want to do, you don't, obviously, if you want to change the letter, you're not going to type the letter so many times. So one thing you can do is you click on this little icon here, quick property editor, and it's going to tell me, look, okay, you've got all these fields inside of your group. Which ones do you want to customize? Ideally, if you're creating reusable assets with quick properties, obviously you've got many more fields in here and they're all different and you're animating them all different. So it's nice that it's exposing all of them so you can quickly change the text. But in this case, I need all the letters to be the same one in my animation. So what you can do is you just take the first one and you use this icon here that says link with item above to edit the properties as a group, which means it's going to link. So you need to go to each one of them. Notice the number of linked items increases. So I'm linking all of the second and following fields to the same one at the top, right? So here we go. So that means now when I change the letter, all of them are going to change to the same value. So I'm just going to change the label here and call it letter, right? Just to make it clear. Letter. You have also customizable possibilities here for the color of the letter, right? So save that. So now look, my group is down here, the letter is up here, and now I have just a single field to duplicate, right? So this is a single field here to customize. I put any letter I want in here and it's going to change all of them, right? So before I move on, I want to make a copy of this and I want to make the letter A. So from happy, right? So copy this group, control C, and go to the start of the animation and paste it. Camtasia is going to paste it on the next available track. And now I've got two letters. All I have to do is just move it to the right. It's also important that these are in a group, because when you change an object and have it animated, if you move just the object, it's going to just change the keyframe for that animation, or insert a new keyframe. It's going to move it all over the screen. So if you want to move all of the animations together so that they are all relative to your group, you need to have them in a group and then move the whole thing. And the animation is going to continue working just fine because you've moved the group, and Camtasia creates a custom virtual canvas inside of the group relative to that group, which allows me to move my entire 20 or how many 18 animations I have in there. They're all moving together with the group. So this is another tip for you. So let's say I'm going to change the letter on the second one to A. Watch what happens. Select the letter on the top field there, press enter, A, right? So let me just make this smaller. And I'm going to actually make all the entire word. Control copy again, control paste, and move it to the right. And this time it's going to be the letter P. Okay. And copy this, paste again, another P. And finally, I'm going to paste another one and change that to Y. Here we go. Great. So now all of my letters changeable in one single click, and they are customizable. I'm going to actually save this project now because I've had Camtasia sometimes crash on me when I did this. Okay, so I've saved it. Let's see what happens. All of the letters are jumping. That is great. So what I want to do now is, obviously now, the objects are jumping all at once. That is not very interesting. In my example, when I started, every letter was kind of animated in a different phase, right? So we need to move these out of phase. Now, this is another trick I'm going to show you. Because the animations are at the same time, same length, they start and end at the same time. Obviously, they move at the same time together. If I want to separate them and move them out of phase so that, they're kind of jumping in a wave like that, I have to take each one of it and phase it, move it to the right. So for example, if I want to make the letter A start later, and for example here, you notice now it starts later. Just shift the group to the right on your timeline. So already you can see the letter A is a little behind, right? Okay, let's move the other one about here. Okay, let's move the P about here maybe, and let's move the Y even later like that. Okay, so now every letter, 5 letters, they're all different, out of phase. Let's see. Okay, so they are appearing at different times and they're jumping at different times. So that is fine. But what I don't like is the fact that they come into the screen at different times. So you see the H, the A, the P, and then the Y, you see another P, and so on. That is not good. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that if we want to turn this into a repeatable animation, it needs to start and stop at the same time. And how do we do that? By keeping the phase. So let me show you. You notice that when I shift one of these tracks to the right, I have some space at the beginning. So normally what I want there is part of the animation that is at the end to start there. And that piece of animation that's missing, it needs to finish there before it starts again. That's what we are doing. We are shifting the start and end point of the entire animation. This is so easy, you're not going to believe this. I'm going to just zoom out a little bit like that. So notice that because I shift all the groups, you know, different distances, at the end here they kind of correspond to the start, only it's the negative. So what I want to do is I want to take all of these pieces that are extra, which is the piece of animation that I'm missing at the start, and move it to the start. So the way to do this is just select all of these 4 tracks, not the first one, because the first one is fine. It's on phase, it's at the start. We don't have to modify that. I want to modify the 4 that I just changed and phased, right? So select all of them, press S. This is going to shift, slice the group, right? So watch this. I'm selecting all 4 of them and I can move them away like that. Those are the missing pieces from the start. So if I play this bit here, just move the playhead here. You know, they're disappearing. So that's the part of animation I'm missing. So now be careful. Don't change the track. Just select all of them and drag them to the very start. And they will fit in there like a bunch of Tetris pieces. All 4 of them are going to exactly precisely fit at the start, and just drop them in there. Make sure you don't shift the tracks and you don't put them on a different track by mistake. So let's see now if we have done the trick. So now look, at the beginning, if I put my playhead at the start, all of the letters are on screen just like I want them. They are of course out of phase. So if I play this, you notice there was no interruption in the animation at all, because the missing part of the animation is now at the beginning. So watch my block here, all of my groups end and start and end at the same time. So this is a repeatable animation I can use. How can we take it one step further? Now, because I have I've sliced these groups, each track has 2 groups, the piece that was missing plus the rest of the animation. That's not nice, because now if I want to change the letters, I have to change 2 groups, right? So we're going to fix this. The way we're going to fix this is just select both groups on each track like so. So I'm now selecting letter A. Just to help us, I'm going to double click on the track header and just put the letter that's in there. So the first one is H. The second one is A. We don't care about this when we finish doing the component that is going to be customizable, because the tracks are not going to be the same anyway. But just to help me keep track of them right now, I have renamed the tracks. So this is track H, right? I don't need to do anything for this because it's a single piece. But the next one, A, you notice there's 2 groups there. All I do is now select both of them, right click and ungroup. This takes all of them out of the group, but fortunately it keeps the first piece of animation that I moved, right? So nothing's changing in terms of the animation. It's still working, look. The A is still bouncing just fine in there. Now, all I did was ungroup it, and now I can group it again, and it's going to be one single piece again, one single group. But before I do that, I'm going to save again. Remember, with these new versions of Camtasia, make sure you save often, because sometimes they have bugs to fix and you need to, kind of make sure you don't lose your work. So I've selected all of them because they came out of the group. Now all the letters are selected. and I'm going to go to visual effects, go here to more visual effects, and before I group them again, I want to add the blur, the motion blur effect, to give it a bit more realism, right? So this is again available only in Camtasia 2021. You find the motion blur effect in here, just drag it on this, and because they're all selected, this effect is going to apply to all of them. Watch this. Yeah, you see the confirmation there that the effect was added on all of the objects in there. So now I've added the motion blur. They are still selected. Control G to group them again. Right? There you go. Group 3. Let's rename this group just to stay organized. Rename group, and let's call it A. You know, when you change these letters later, you're not going to care about this. Now again, watch what happened here. The animation is still working fine. And I think it's moving a little too slow because I cannot really see much of the blur, the motion blur effect. But it's there. I can slightly see it there. So the motion blur effect only works best if your object is moving faster. The faster it's moving, the more pronounced the blur effect is. But, you know, I'm just going to keep going like this. Just take the next letter, the P letter, ungroup, Control U to ungroup everything. Okay, and now drag the motion blur on top. And Control G again to make it another group. Right? There you go. So we've made another one. So do the same for all of them. Just taking the two groups, ungrouping them, which is going to take all the items out of it, keep them in place, keep the animations going the same way. Don't change anything. Just add your motion blur to them and group them again like so. All right. Finally, I'm just going to do the last letter here. Control ungroup and motion blur. And right click to group again. There we have it. And the first one was okay because I did not slice it at all. So now again, I have 5 groups, 5 letters. They're all animated. They all have the motion blur, and they're all still working just fine. Now, the only thing that happened here, because you know, remember when I told you about the customizations that when they only work in a group. Now, because I've ungrouped them, watch this. If I click on the second one, which is the letter A, again, I have a lot of letters A in there. So, you know, you would have to do this. Click on the custom property editor and just link every one of the other ones to the first one so that you don't have to change the letter 18 times, okay? Or how many of 19 times? And I'm going to just change the label here to letter, like so. There we have it. So now my A component only has the one letter to edit. I'm going to do the same with all of them because, you know, it's going to make it much easier to change the word later. Okay, I've done it. Make sure you save again. And now I have 5 tracks, 5 letters, all customizable with one click. So let's just have a go and let's change the word from happy to shouty. Okay, just shouty. Look how easy it is. I click on the first one. I click on the letter S. Click on the second one, H. Click on the third one. And finally on this one. Yeah, there you go. I've changed the word with 5 clicks, and now the word keeps jumping like this. And because of the customizable properties, you can also change the color. All you have to do is just go here for each one of them, and if you want to change the color like that for just that letter, that is up to you. You can do it. So I'm going to undo this now because I want to make it even easier for you. When you're happy with this animation, you say, okay, I'm happy, I have all the letters jumping up and down, everything is great, customizable and everything. Why not group everything again together and create a single component that allows you to change the word, right? So I'm going to select all 5 groups on all the 5 tracks and Control G to group it again into a single asset. You see all the stuff in there? You don't care about it anymore because this is a single group. I can resize this, rename it. Let's call it jumping letters. All right, so jumping letters, one group here. And the nice part is, look, all of the letters are now grouped together in this customizable panel. So it's even easier. If I want to change the word back to happy, all I have to do is just click in the first one, H, tab, A, tab, P, P, Y. Boom, happy. Again, I've changed the word in a few clicks and a few letters. So now the letters are still working. It's all still jumping. So this is great, isn't it? So this makes it all like a, you can remove this jumping line now. The floor, it was just as a guide. So the letters are still jumping or floating in the air or whatever you want to do. So if you go in here now and you say, you know what if I want to add this to my library, right click on it, add to library, and jumping letters. I'm just going to leave my counters group in here. Click OK. It's in my library. I can reuse it anytime I like. And you can use the same principle if you want to use two different words and you want to customize the position and the phase also. So look, I have this one word in here. I'm just going to make it smaller so it's all resizable because it's inside of a group. I'm going to bring another one in here. So that's another copy of this. This is larger. I'm going to make it smaller like this. So let's change this to shouty or shout. Yeah, shout. Here we go. Shout. Happy shout. All right. So they're all jumping now, but it's kind of repeatable because, it kind of jumps at the same phase and everything. So you can use the same principle I showed you before. So if you want to move this out of phase like that, just go to the start. The word kind of comes in too late. It is out of phase now. It doesn't look like it's a duplicated copy of the happy word. So all you have to do is, but this is actually you need to make sure you do this kind of the end of your animation, because then everything you do is you're gonna have to do it twice. Go to the end of the animation here, press S with that group selected, slice that piece off and move it to the start. So there you go. Now both words are on the screen, out of phase, and still jumping up, and you don't even notice the difference, right? So again, if you want to click and if you want to fix this, all you have to do is just like I showed you, deselect both groups, ungroup them, and now there's the 5 letters in there. You have to ungroup each one of them and group them all again like this in a single group. Boom. Now all of your letters have duplicated, so you have to do the same principle. So if you want to create multiple versions of this out of phase, you have now duplicated letters, because inside of this group every letter is twice, because every group got sliced. So this is a bit confusing maybe, but once you learn how groups work, this is very easy to do. Before you make this reusable and add it to your library, again, you can go to this quick property editor, and this time you want to link every S, every H, every O together. So the S's, both S's, I want to link that now to the other one. So now you see there's 36 S's. Yeah, double the H, no problem. Link it to the second, double the O, double the U, and double the T. 5 letters, 36 items in them, because every group has a duplicated copy of that. So now I still have again my word back, so I can change it and they're all linked. So this is how custom properties work. This is a great time-saving addition for Camtasia 2021. It allows you to create all these nice assets you can add to your library or share with your collaborators, and you can create some animation and you save it and you export it and you send it to them. It's all going to work the same way, and they can customize it without having to know how you actually built it inside of the the asset, as long as it just works. And final thing, as I said, you can change the colors here for every one of them. You can make each letter a different one just by opening these panels here and changing their colors like so. Individually, you can change the font too. You can change the bold, italics, whatever you want to do in here, and the alignment and the size. If you want some letters to be smaller, this allows you to change every one of them individually, and you just use point and click. You don't even have to know how the components have been built initially. So there you have it. I'm just going to demonstrate this in here, right, like this, and the animation still works fine. Right, so in this great Camtasia 2021 has a lot of new additions like this that allow you to kind of play with it and make fun stuff. Well, this has been a long video. Again, sorry, I mean, my videos tend to be long. Although I showed you something quite simple, it turned out to be this massive half-an-hour lesson. Well, I hope you don't mind. And if you watched this far, thank you for your time. And if you find these tutorials useful, please subscribe to my channel, click and like it. And also, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment. If you have not upgraded to Camtasia 2021 yet, you're on the fence, maybe this video kind of shows you the power of how you can use it now. And if you do consider upgrading, there's a link in the description that you can use to upgrade, and it would help support my channel because it's an affiliate link at no cost to you extra. So thanks again for your time. I will see you on the next one.